Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Azra, are we ready to go?
Yep, ready to go.
Okay, a very good afternoon to all of you from Contact Center Association of Malaysia. My name is Vic, the president of the CCM itself, and today I'm very, very pleased and excited to welcome Zoom. This is not the first time, but our partners, our association gold partners, Zoom, is back again to share more. Um, what has been happening, and we have been having a long-term partnership, and one of the commitment from CCM is to make sure we're bringing the global best brands into the country. And in this case, in today's webinar for 1 hour, you will hear, and you'll be one of the first, the earliest in Malaysia to hear about the new capabilities that Zoom is bringing into the country for you to explore, to discuss, to understand, to learn concepts and thought leadership that will be brought to you in a tools and systems and capabilities that will help you drive your AI, your digital transformation. So we do truly believe in Zoom as a partner. Many of us still linger in the memory of the COVID days where Zoom enabled video collaboration, connecting people worldwide, bringing people closer than ever. A simple line came up to say, "Can I Zoom you?" and whatever not, right? It became that way. It became almost like what toothpaste was with Colgate for Malaysians. Zoom became the video tool. And it lingered on. And the brand stays right on top of mind for me, especially. It changed my life when I was running multiple BPO operations then and driving CX, coordinating with clients across the globe. So well done, so easily, so stable, and it is what it is. And I was so excited from uh, Zoom when they started to move into the contact center capabilities. The contact center capabilities taking video collaboration tool into what is an omni-channel solutions and all complementary solutions truly excited me because the brand meant a lot for me during tough times. And the stability, the capabilities, and the quality continued into the contact center space. Today, two of our friends, Jensis and Candice from Zoom, will talk to you a little bit more about the solutions that they have. And I've been made to understand, I don't know what's in store, but I've been made to understand the native products that we spoke about is still there, it's still functioning well, but we're going to share with you what's beyond the native products. What AI capabilities that Zoom is collaborating with to bring newer, better, and superior capabilities to enable CX, to enable contact center operations, as well as via BPO capabilities. So I'm extremely excited to hear what's this beyond the native solutions. Because I'm a believer in the native solutions, I'm excited about what's coming, and I can only believe it'll be as good as before. And what is beyond Zoom, and you will have Candice Tan here with me and Gensis Zhu who will introduce themselves. Gensis is Platform Solutions Architect, AI and Developer Products for Asia Pacific. Hi, Gensis. This one, okay, that's Gensis.
Hi. Hi,
And
everyone.
hi. And Candice is the Senior Business Development Manager for Zoom APAC. Okay, now coming back to CCM, we're very excited. We believe we are in an intersection of changes. We are in the intersection of opportunities. After 2.5 years of going through testing, trial, succeeding, failing, and getting up and running, AI has come landing for everybody. Not just pockets of trials, but we look at enterprise, we look at larger customer engagement cycles where AI can bring you new capabilities. Folks are already talking about a full agentic AI-led contact center, a customer experience designed and uplifted by AI so well that it's seamless and very natural. In fact, it's as humanized as it can be. So from now, 2026 to the coming years, we do see investments starting to take shape. So please explore this webinar for the capabilities that's in front of you. Not just Zoom, but we'll bring many more partners and leading global brands like Zoom to our shores to make sure Malaysian contact centers get to see the best and get to make the right choices as we transform into the coming era. And you know, Malaysia has got an AI nation ambition for 2030. The contact center industry is very connected into the digital economy and the AI nation ambition. All of us, all of you, have a responsibility to look at what's right for you, for your industry, for your customers, for your business to make things right. I wish you well and ask as many questions, but listen attentively. Beyond today, we will also have multiple other ground activities with Zoom, with other partners, including the upcoming Customer Experience Summit in November. From CTM, I thank you for spending your 1 hour here. I think I've done enough talking. It's very important that Candice and Jen just takes you through a whole array of solutions that's beyond what they were before. And that can only mean better and more uh, of the latest and the best. Over to you, Team Zoom. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good afternoon of learning and exploring.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you so much. All right. Just to introduce ourselves, my name is Candice. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager who covers the whole APAC region itself in the developer platform products itself. And over here, I have my colleague Jancis. He's from the global team, taking care of more on technical engineering kind of stuff. So he's the platform solution architect who supports the developer platform team. All right. So the next slide itself is a very, very beautiful slide that you're going to use. You will see the past 15 years how Zoom has grown. So like Vic mentioned, today we are not going to share with you about our native product. You have been hearing so much, and probably you have been like using our Zoom native product day in, day out. So, but looking at the trend for the past 15 years, so you can see that for the past couple of years, Zoom has actually stepped into the AI space, and we have been enhancing and innovating AI products and so on. So you probably started hearing about our AI companion and to the most recent about Zoom Meet. But today we are not going to talk about the native product. We are going beyond that. So over the last column, you do see that we have this AI services. And what are we going to share about AI services, which is suitable for contact centers and the BPO industry? Yep. So in the next slide, these are some of the pointers and what we have here, from our customers, from the industry experts, from agents, from managers, in the contact centers and BPO space. So some of them share with us, saying that, they are still taking manual notes, which is, okay, it's time for them to start looking into automation. So, but manual taking notes, even, whether is it written or they type all those notes, right? The agent typing the summary notes into the CRM system, it is still manual. So with this, right, that is always like prone to errors, maybe not all the information being taken into consideration. So with that, right, follow up maybe that you may miss something during the follow up, right? So and some came back to us saying that the human written summaries itself, they varies in quality because different agent they see all this conversation in different manner. So some the basically all the agents, the way they take note is non-consistent. So when come up to the support ticket, right, even when they run automation at the back end, they find that it's very inconsistent, and follow-up is also a little tough. Some of them did share with us they always wanted to coach the agents itself, the managers, the supervisors want to coach the agents, but it's so tough because the whole contact center staff is so huge, right? The supervisors can't be like sitting down, side by side with every agent, listening to them and, hearing how they pitch. So, this is also the pains that they are facing. And they have been asking, how can I, be able to use AI, to be able to track, or how my agents speak and how can I share with them, how can they improve on their pitching and so on. So, with also customers verification, when we go into, some conversation with consultants, verification is very important. But because of the manual way, verification can be like very tedious. We go through multiple checks, like people calling you asking, okay, I need to double check, what is your full name? What is your birthday? What is your address? So on and so forth, so the verification is very long. So how can they cut short this part of the verification? And of course, sentiment detection itself. So by hearing, by listening to customers who call in, sometimes agent may not be able to capture like, or the customer is getting a little frustrated. So how about capturing the sentiment of that customer who is sharing their frustration, the challenges and issues that they are facing? So if you are able to capture this sentiment, right, the detection will be able to, at least you get the initial detection before the customer throw up. So you'll be able to know how to salvage back, right? So compliance monitoring is the most important. You wouldn't want your agents to be sharing non-compliance information, So in this case, right, with compliance monitoring, so you'll be able to do certain checks or or certain processes itself to stop the agent from continuing with non-compliance conversation. So QA definitely is very important. But for QA team, right, usually how they do on QA testing is usually very manual, or they usually take a small pool of a small percentage of the call to do QA testing. But how can they do QA testing for all the calls itself automatically? So, these are the points we have been hearing day in, day out from the industries, in BPO contact centers, even from our customers. So that's why today we are sharing with you, our technology beyond the native product itself. So we have actually today put up 3 scenarios that probably will be, the scenarios may be quite familiar to what you have been probably asking some consultants or vendors. So the first scenario I want to cover with you basically is Jessica, the first scenario is like, customers have been asking, okay, I'm not using Zoom product, but I like all the Zoom AI capabilities, because we see that, the past years, Zoom has been, innovating all the AI technologies and so on. But I love all these AI capabilities like transcription, summary, etc. So what can I do? But I'm not using Zoom meeting. I'm not using Zoom contact center. What should I do? So second scenario can be, I have all my past years recording files. AI has been out in the market only like a couple of years back. People start looking into it. But I have my past 10, 20 years recording files. I don't know what to do with that. So how can I convert all these recording files and bring all this conversation into my knowledge base data? So how can I do that? So to cover this, right, Zoom has recently launched a product called AI Services, just beginning of this year, which may be able to help you to overcome this. And I'm going to hand this over to my colleague Jancis to share with you more about this new product, AI Services. Yeah, Jancis, over to you.
Thank you, Candice. So this is where a lot of capabilities that we have heard from customers or even for BPOs that wants to be able to transform and transit. So like what Candice has shared from the various scenarios, do we have customers who like what they seen on Zoom or what they have used Zoom on a day-to-day basis, especially things on the AI summary, the transcript, and they are thinking, how do I actually have these capabilities within my own platform, or how do I use this to actually transform my platform? And likewise, when we talk about AI is only as good as what you have from a knowledge-based perspective. So we do have customers that has tons of years of archival data recording. How do I get them to be transformed so that it will be usable data that can be consumed by various AI tools? So this is where with Zoom, we are also introducing a new set of services, or what we call AI services. It is a new suite of intelligent APIs for various workloads. And this is not just something that we created yesterday. And this is all along been the backbone of what we do for across all the services that we have AI infused into, whether it's in meetings, in webinars, in contact center. And now we are creating a set of programmable service that can be used by developers that wants to actually harness speech, language, vision processing, or even knowledge base, right? Transforming the data that you have into actionable intelligence. And this is what we are offering beyond what you get within Zoom. And this is something that you can use within your own environment, any other environment that is non-Zoom related. At the same time, because we have been in this for the longest time, and it's not something that we create just yesterday, these are all production-ready services that can be turned on and switched on and to be leveraged immediately. And it's definitely a proven solution across the board, as I mentioned. This is what we are using within our platform. So it has been proven across millions and millions of Zoom meetings, and it has enriched and helped a lot of our end users with regards on having actionable insights, being able to summarize, being able to understand what's the next course of action, really taking in terms of the model that we have for this, which is completion, conversations to completion. And this is what we also aim to do with AI services, to be able to help to bring that value to your services and platform. So just some selling points for AI services. Definitely, we are looking at offering an enterprise-grade service across the various pillars, from speech to vision, language processing. We offer it not just in terms of both allowing you to batch process your data, But we also have services that allows you to actually process in real time. We also look at understanding the various nuances, especially when we talk about AI, and also understanding there are certain aspects when it comes to AI, especially in the regulated industry. A cloud service may not always be something that would be favorable, especially when you talk about having something that is sensitive or confidential that you need to be able to process. We are also looking at building the on-premise capability at the same time in the near future to bring the same technology and service that we do on our cloud into on-premise. But the purpose of here is really where the innovation comes, especially at the speed of cloud. We are able to actually harness that and provide a lot of the innovation that we have actually built through our cloud service. And lastly, it's not really about just providing you with a service, but also to provide you with a model where you only pay for what you use. And this is where we are also introducing a service where it is a consumption-based service that you will only pay for how much you actually utilize specific service as part of this suite. So just high level, what's really inside under the hood about AI services is really across, like I mentioned, speech, right? And I think speech is the most basic understanding of how people actually look at how do we convert digital conversations into text, right? And this is what we call our Scribe API. Scribe API essentially provides our transcription capabilities that we have actually been doing on a day-to-day basis that we allow customers to be able to convert, whether it's 1, 10, thousands of audio files within a single request. And it's backed by industry-leading accuracy. And we have always also put our model out there on Hugging Face to be able to match and to see with regards on where we stand against the rest of our competitors in the field. And this is where we continue to innovate. And not just in regards to that, we also leverage on a mix of a federated approach when it comes to different services at the same time. And moving forward, as what we also have recently launched in the middle of this slide, we have also launched our integrated API. We do know that BPOs or even contact center, you not just only serve one set of customers. It is a global presence. You are serving customer that speaks different language in different parts of the world. So this is where we are providing our translation capabilities across in our service for you to be able to harness that and be able to transcribe and translate, up to 60 plus languages, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous. And for you to be able also not just from language perspective, but any form of documentation that you have to be able to leverage on this capability and to suit that accordingly in different parts of the world. And what do you do after transcribing and translating? Let's find out what are the actionable insights with regards on the content that you have actually passed through. And this is where we segue into what we call the Summarizer API. So if you have used Zoom Summary or Meeting Summary, and especially I think a lot of folks would really love that is that I can just focus on the conversation without having my hands typing on the keyboard to understand how the conversation is going, what are the action items, is there anything that is pertaining to me or not. Likewise, we are also now producing and giving you access to this service to be able to generate what you love about the Zoom Meeting Summary in the form of an API. And we are also continuing to improve this service to be able not just to provide you the out-of-box template that gives you the recap, the high-level summary, the action item, but moving forward, we are also looking to enhance this capability to be able to give you customized templatized framework that allows you to be able to leverage and suit according to your needs or for your workload or within your organization. And lastly, in the next coming months, we are looking to then also release our Vision API. Basically, it's also looking at image processing, OCR. So some of the works perhaps from a BPO perspective or even for a contact center is that, when you are running contact center to be able to assist with certain visual aspect of assistant. So sometimes customer might be taking a photo, and this is where you can actually look at leveraging on Vision API to be able to help you to decipher the image or the content that the customer has uploaded and fine-tune it according to your needs. So if, let's say, you're running a printer help desk, are you able to leverage on Vision API to identify the printer or identify the specific aspect of the object within the image? And lastly, it's also the deep reasoning API. We are also providing the access to our complex reasoning models that we use here at Zoom, especially in our AI, to provide you with the knowledge base or the services to be able to handle complex questions, even perhaps not really all the way up to PhD, but we do provide you with that range of service and knowledge for you to be able to harness. And especially for us, at the end of the day, we always take in for all the services, we don't just look at what we do from our own in-house model, but Zoom has always been on the federated approach across all the different models out there, and we continue to fine-tune and improve what's available out there and provide the most optimal result for our customers. So just quickly touch on Scribe, especially since the first step in our service is that we are providing you with real-time or batch workloads on providing you with transcription capabilities. And this is also where we are providing these capabilities that is outside of the typical Zoom platform. And not just that, we are also now looking at how do we actually transcribe, not just in terms of the content, but also looking at how do we capture image or whiteboard moving forward that is shared during a conversation or during an engagement that you may have as part of your platform. What's upcoming soon is that we will be also looking at providing speaker diarization. I think that's important to understand with a breakdown understanding who is speaking what as part of the engagement or the conversation. We continue to also look at expanding the language support that we have. Today, we have started with the core 9 languages, and moving forward, you'll be then looking at providing more language support, which will be similar to what we have in our platform. And lastly, we also do look at providing with automatic language identification, because we do know that, for example, recording may not be always in a certain language. You also do need a certain form of intelligence to be able to detect what is the main language within the recorded files or the content. And this is where we aim to actually provide that intelligence as part of service moving forward. So as much as I also shared across earlier on with regards on the language processing using the interpreter and summarizer. Interpreter, basically very simple, giving you the capability to be able to translate languages on the fly or in batch. Summarizer is to be able to harness what's actually being transcribed or interpreted, providing you with the insights from any context of the body, whether it's meetings, whether it's documents, or let's say a customer feedback that's coming from a feedback form. And this is basically very perfect in the setup when it comes to looking at enterprises in terms of contact center, BPO, that is hindering and processing multi-language content on a day-to-day basis. And looking forward, as I mentioned, AI services. And you can think about it as not just, that, this service, is stated that it's a PhD level problem. Not exactly. So like I mentioned, this can be put to use against any workflow that you may have when it comes to searching through knowledge base, understanding complex issues, or to be able to help quickly dissect things that you may need to be able to help you to improve research, R&D, and so on and so forth. And the best part is that we continue to improve the service based on what we look at the optimal approach, leveraging through our federated approach by giving you specialized model based on the query to give you the optimal output. So just a quick demo with regards to AI services web today. So this is a sample app that I built that cuts across 3 different services. And this is definitely a web app that I built to be able to showcase the capability on Scribe, to be able to transcribe real-time audio that I'm speaking at the same time. It also aims to translate. So in this demo, it will actually translate what I spoke in the source language of English into Mandarin. And lastly, as part of the demo, I'll be able to summarize the ongoing conversation, or let's say from a contact center perspective, I'll be able to do summarization on the fly or towards the end of the engagement.
A real-time speech to text and translation demo powered by Zoom AI services. To show it off, I'll play a beloved children's story about a very hungry caterpillar and have it transcribed and translated live right in the browser. When I press start, the microphone is captured continuously and sliced into short, gapless windows. As the story is read aloud, each window is downsampled and sent to Scribe on its own. So the caterpillar's tail appears on screen, chunk by chunk, every line tagged with its latency. Choosing a target language switches on live translation. The same request that transcribes each line of the story also translates it on the server. So the Chinese appears right beside the English with a single round trip. A live waveform shows the audio is flowing, while the footer tracks chunks sent, average latency, requests in flight, and errors as the story streams in. Pressing stop stitches every captured window into one continuous recording, so you can replay the whole story gaplessly right here. A single click summarizes the entire session. The transcript of the story is sent to the Zoom AI Services Summarizer and comes back as a structured recap, shown in this modal. Every recording is saved as a durable session. The sidebar lists them all, so you can start a new one, revisit this story with its transcript and audio intact, or delete it. And that's the whole flow. Live transcription, translation, replay, and summaries. An entire children's story, captured end-to-end by Zoom AI Services.
Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed the short demo that I've done, showcasing the 3 core services that we have today on the AI Services Suite. I think essentially in this demo, it's definitely a non-Zoom environment. It can actually take and use the service in any shape and form, or to implement any form of workflow that matches your requirement to be able to leverage on and harness these capabilities that Zoom is using on a day-to-day basis that we are built into our platform. And especially for this is perfect because for me to do this is inspired by my kid, because every single night I have to read him the same story. So, this is actually perfect for me to kind of just run through and look and see on how can I leverage on this to translate the same story about the hungry caterpillar into multiple languages. And eventually, hopefully, it is also able to summarize the key point on why the caterpillar is always hungry. So I think, jokes aside, I think just to sum up, hopefully you have a good view of what we do here today here at Zoom beyond what you know about Zoom. And this is where we are having the first venture into AI services, giving you and allowing you to harness these capabilities that we have within our AI ecosystem, and for you to take that same capability that you love and like into your environment. And as Candice earlier start with the presentation, she talks about 3 scenarios, right? So I think we early on have addressed the first 2 scenarios. So now this is the third scenario where perhaps today you are an existing Zoom customer, you're leveraging on Zoom meeting, you're leveraging on contact center. You do have certain requirements, right? You do not want Zoom to be able to store your data. And at the same time, when you talk about not able to store data, which also means that there can be certain capabilities that you will not be able to use on Zoom, for example, like cloud recording, summary, etc. and all. But you do have other capabilities that you want to find an approach on how do you able to access the meeting media or the media data that you are generated on the Zoom platform to your own internal tool or any AI ML applications that you may have created in-house or third party. And this is where we have been providing what we call a real-time media stream solution. And this is where not just with regards on providing the media stream that you are generating on Zoom meeting, we have currently today supported on webinar, contact center for voice engagement, and also in our CPaaS solution, what we call video SDK. And along the way, we are looking to expand the same media stream access across the rest of our product, whether it's into contact center video engagement or even for Zoom Phone in the near future. So just to give you a high-level overview on what exactly real-time media stream is, essentially we are providing you with a pipe for you to be able to access the media data that is generated through the Zoom platform. So for example, what kind of media data we are talking about? It can be audio, it can be video, it can be the transcript that's generated from Zoom. It can be even this presentation that's actually shared through the screen sharing capabilities. And also at the same time, let's say there are certain data that you want to capture through chat. This is where we are now providing you with the access. And not just the access, we are also providing you with with a structural data approach. So which means that whichever data, for example, for audio, we do provide you with the raw PCM. But if let's say there are certain outputs that you need, we do provide you with certain parameters for you to get that desired output. And throughout the rest of all the media stream, from a structured data perspective, we provide it in a consumable JSON format. So then that is where developers love about that, to be able to easily consume and quickly harness the data for their application. Some of the use cases which I will share on why people are looking at the use of real-time media stream. So for example, they may have their own in-house meeting transcription or summarization tool or platform that they have built. And this is where they want to be able to have a structured way to access, to ingest, and to be able to have those custom solution provided to their users within Zoom at the same time. So we not just only provide you with the real-time audio and video stream feeding into your own solution, you can also surface this process output by building an app within Zoom itself. So think about it is that if you are familiar with the Zoom meeting, you do time and time may have access what we call Zoom apps. So we also do provide the way on how you can actually surface some of this process information through your own solution in the form of Zoom app so that users can actually look at it in real time, what exactly it has been processed. So this fits perfectly where someone has a customized transcription solution or summary solution. They'll be able to use a Zoom app to be able to provide the direct process data for them to be able to use it during meeting at the same time. And I think the best part about real-time video stream is that there's actually no lag or waiting time for post-processing, right? So a lot of times when someone do have certain tools, currently today, they are waiting for cloud recording to be processed before they'll be able to take those artifacts and put it in their tool. With real-time video stream, yeah, we are assessing what is actually generated on the fly. So you're not having any lag. You are able to feed the real-time stream or the data that I'm generating right now to your tool and to be quickly reflected to users so that they have quick actionable insights, or they'll be able to actually have certain value that is driven through your platform. The second part, as what Candice mentioned, of some of the key areas, we also talk about, how do we actually leverage on certain tools to be able to have, compliance or risk monitoring that is actually done in real time, especially in regulated industry or let's say sensitive cases where, for example, I might be speaking with certain internal users or even with customers, but there are certain things that you should not be speaking about during a online meeting. So for example, some people might accidentally speak about confidential data, secret data, for example. So through the use of RTMS, we have customers who look at piping those audio or transcript data into their own tool to be able to kind of then analyze what are the topics, the keywords or terms that people are actually discussing in real time, and where they do have a positive detection of certain of these keywords that they should not have been speaking in certain type of meeting, they will be able to build a workflow to either to do a proactive alert to management, or they'll be able to have a workflow to be able to stop and end the meeting to prevent the user from speaking further, right, during the meeting itself. So this is where some of the use cases, especially for FSI, we do have customers who are looking to use RTMS to detect, insiding trading risks based on conversation, or let's say flag certain conversation that may not be appropriate for certain users. They can also use this for active auditing and monitoring for, things like mandatory disclosure. And lastly, as I mentioned, people are looking at ways on how do I want to automate a lot of these mundane, tedious processes, right, through the use of RTMS. The other use case is really about how do I get, the on the fly or the real-time insights based on conversation. And especially when I talk about, engagements, right? Engagement can be detected through the tone of my voice, the way on, let's say I have my video on. You can also look at what is my expression or what's my emotion when I'm actually speaking on video. So this is where customers on both ends, they want to have better insights with regards on how CSR are speaking with customer, or likewise on customer, how they are speaking to their own staff. So they can actually look and decipher through the audio wave based on the tonal that's being used by users, or based on the certain words that users would use. So like for example, if I'm a user who is very angry with a service, I might be using, nasty words or not so nice words, right? And likewise for CSR, being professional, certain CSR may make some unlikely choice to use certain words when they're handling engagement as well in in the moment. So this is where you are also able to use the audio stream transcript to be able to kind of detect and to build those insights based on how people are actually speaking during engagement. And together with video, you can actually couple video to also understand how are people reacting when they have video turned on. Are they reacting to the conversation positively based on how they are looking, right? Or let's say, are they really focusing on the conversation? So this is where through video, you also be able to build not just in terms of sentiment analysis, you can also build what is the engagement level of users with video turned on. Are they really focusing? Are they distracted at the same time? And this is where it gets creative on how you want to leverage on all this to build that sentiment analysis engagement into workflows. So we do have some cases where customer contact center providers are looking to leverage through the audio and video stream to use it to have agents or their managers to intervene in real time. Let's say they have positively detect that a conversation might go south or might be going to a negative CSAT, right? For example, or to use a lot of this that they gather through various different engagement and use it as coaching platform and coaching tools to improve engagement, to improve the choice of words, to improve the way on how to speak with customer at the same time. So thinking out loud beyond the other problem statement that I have shared earlier, we also look at what is also happening out there. So for example, we also look at a lot of customers are more aware of the emergence of deepfake videos or deepfake engagement that is actually a risk, right? Especially the way on how they are interacting with users. So I think this is where is how do I genuinely authenticate that I'm speaking to an actual user and not just one actual user. I'm also engaging someone who is not manipulating audio or video. So this is where through the use of real-time media stream, I'm able to actually pipe the generated video and audio output of a particular user and build a workflow to be able to authenticate whether this user is actually who he is. If let's say they do have certain image or video records to be able to do kind of like KYC, or at the same time to be able to build and pipe this media through your own model to detect whether is there any trace or manipulated video frames or audio frames. The second part on the right is really where people are also addressing the need of accessibility. So we do have customers who actually look at how do I also have better engagement and to be able to deliver the same kind of value and care for people who are having certain impaired disability. So this is where we also have worked with some of the partners that has sign language translation or capabilities to be able to transcribe any audio that's been generated or transcript to be able to pass into their own solution and to generate a ASL animation on the fly to be able to help these people to also have to be in the same conversation through this application. So other use cases on analytics, for example, as I mentioned, you can actually use video to be able to look at the different facial points on the face to kind of detect what is the sentiment, across whether is it a calm user, is the person feeling sad to a certain degree, confused, surprised, or fear. So these are some of the basic kind of sentiments that you actually look across the range. But the possibility is really beyond on how you actually can leverage on all this media stream based on your use case. So some other samples that we have is that you can also leverage on real-time media stream to kind of also build a real-time voice agent or a chatbot to be able to assist, whether it's an agent, whether it's the host to have better conversation, or to be able to leverage on that to build a RAG application to query not just in terms of the conversation that has been ongoing in that meeting, but how do you actually string those conversations to do association to your knowledge base to actually pull past data in the conversation to enrich that user, right? And this is where we also look at how do people really want to build that. So as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the bot use case, we also do have customers who look at how do they actually build direct access to be able to query past meeting summary or to be able to use conversation that is being generated in the meeting to be able to pull some of these relevant topics and to be able to also not just to splice and dice certain segments so that it provides better context, past data, or let's say whether is it a form of video and text to be able to pull those in near real time and provide that to users. And this is where we also have users who kind of build that whole entire workflow, leveraging on real-time media stream to generate and to store all the meeting assets, right? Whether in the form of audio, in the form of video, use certain services to summarize. And together now we do have AI services for summarizer and translation and transcription. You can also leverage on AI services to actually summarize this content and then build that repository to introduce search. So this is where it provides that entire life cycle of how you actually have a way to store data, generate insights data, and use those data for actionable insights in current meetings or in future meetings. So now this segues into where real-time media stream is today, and recently we do have an update. We understand that a lot of times it is a good concept that we do have the capability for you to access the media stream that is actually from Zoom. But the question that we always get from customers is, how do we get started? How do we get inspiration to know what to build for certain verticals or certain features and capabilities? So this is where in the Zoom developer advocacy team, we have built a open source app that is called Arlo. Arlo, basically, it is a framework that we provide developers or customers who wants to be able to first understand how do they connect, how do they get access to the media stream. Secondly, what would be certain capabilities that people want to understand, whether is it building a generic note-taking app, whether is it to build a interview app, right, to be able to have a guided way on conversations, or to build like a sales tracking app as well. And it all goes back to what we aim to do as a company today is how do we get conversations to be translated into intelligence? How do we get that into completion at the same time? So imagine all the media stream that I've talked about, whether it's audio, video, transcript, and chat. This is actually in the form of communication that you have, whether is it through the form of notes, summary, follow-ups, and update. How we then build and provide you a framework to translate that into intelligence and provide you the insights, giving you the context of the conversation. And at the same time, can we also provide you recommendations, right, through the use of your LLM or the choice of AI tools that you have? And lastly, what is most important is what are the actions that people would need to follow up or to take after the conversation. This is where real-time media stream enables the application to understand and to respond, not just after the conversation, but while the conversations are happening at the same time. So in short, Arlo provides you with 3 key ingredients that you need to get this started, especially if this is the path that you're looking at. First and foremost, real-time media stream. You need to get that as the source of data for you to be able to feed into this framework. The second part, which will be the AI or the large language model layer. This is where you do have the flexibility and freedom to choose what is suited based on your use case or your workload that provides you with capabilities to do summarization, reasoning, or recommendation. Or if not, if you want, we do have AI services that you can also leverage in this pillar. And lastly, how do you bring all those insights to the users? And this is what I mentioned earlier in the form of a Zoom app or what we call a Surface app, which becomes a native experience on how you are able to run that entirely within Zoom itself. So Arlo essentially combines real-time media stream and the Surface app to create that real-time intelligent experience for someone who is actually using Zoom meeting, webinar, contact center, and eventually for Zoom phone. So in this sample, we do have 5 capabilities that we address in the various industry and verticals, ranging from healthcare. How do we able to actually automate clinical documentation summary? How do we also have a workflow to be able to help the doctors or nurses to actually create a check-in step-by-step with patient, at the same time to be able to understand through the conversation, issue real-time drug interaction based on the doctor-patient conversation. If not, we also look at, from the other spectrum, having Arlo has a framework to provide support, right? Especially for customer service. How do we empower a customer service agent by giving a real-time analysis of the caller sentiment, the giving suggestion based on the knowledge base, right? And I think that's basically the most important and key aspect of what CSR would need, or the agent would need to be able to handle those inquiries that is actually being spoken across over the phone. And lastly, how do you actually have a way to a workflow to trigger, whether is it a ticketing path or an escalation path based on the conversation. And other aspect would be, all for legal, for live deposition, and for sales, how do you actually use that to be able to track due intelligence live and automatically map that against a framework, right? So for example, in terms of this framework that Arlo is using, which is BANTA or Budget Authority Need and Time, or you may have other frameworks that you would have internally to feed those conversations. So just a quick view of how Arlo looks like and how it looks like within a Zoom meeting. So this is actually a short demo that's actually done by my developer advocacy team just to bring you across what Arlo is from a framework perspective. And the bottom line here is that Arlo is open source, it's free for anyone to be able to use it and use it as a framework to build your own customized tool.
Jump in. In sales, context is everything. You need to remember what was promised, what objections might have come up, who the decision makers are, and what if your meeting app tracked all of that automatically. I'm on a call with Jamie from Meridian Financial. This is a $248,000 deal in late stage negotiation. The app already knows the deal, the size of the deal, the stage that the deal is in, the key stakeholders, and that we're competing against Snowflake on price. And now we're going to head over to the transcript and we're going to have a real-time conversation. Jamie, thanks for making the time today. Where do things stand with legal's review?
Good news, they're almost done. A few red lines on liability, nothing major. Should have it back by Thursday.
Great. And Rachel's concerns about implementation timeline?
Your team walked her through the migration process. She's signed off.
Perfect. So if legal finishes this week, we can target signatures by end of month?
I don't see why not. I'll push to make it happen.
Excellent. We'll have everything ready on our end. Okay, so we see various different features within the Arlo Assist section. Here we see competitor intel, we see next steps, we see our next steps, theirs, and then what's been done already. We can see the pipeline stages here and that we are currently in the negotiation stage. We have information about Jamie Whitfield and that she is the VP of Data Analytics. We also have Rachel, who's the CTO, information about the key contacts. And you could really extend this to anything you want. You could draft follow-up emails, have the CRM fields be updated automatically, or even alert managers when a deal moves stages. That's the power of RTMS. Real-time transcript data delivered as the conversation happens, not hours later. What you do with that data is completely up to you. You could build AI features inside a Surface app like Arlo. You could pipe transcripts into your own backend systems. You could train models on meeting patterns. You could automate documentation. You could trigger workflows, replace meeting bots entirely. The data is yours the moment it's spoken. Arlo is open source. It's not an actual product. It's a reference implementation of RTMS showing what's possible. The code is available to you, and any developer who wants to build their own meeting intelligence application can hopefully use Arlo as inspiration. We have demos for other verticals as well: healthcare, sales, support, legal, and general note-taking. Links to those are in the description below.
Yeah. So hopefully this gives you a good idea with regards on what we do across not just for AI services, but also for real-time industry. And coupled with Arlo, of what we have today is we really want to be able to get you started quickly and not figuring out the plumbing. And also at the same time, combining based on all the conversations that we have over the past year to be able to create this templatized approach, whether is it something generic that you're looking to do with real-time industry to various verticals. And this is where it gives you that flexibility to leverage on the open source approach and fine-tune it to change it according to your needs. And this is where the overall vision that we have for Zoom, especially in our developer ecosystem, is that we want to be able to enable that seamless experience, whether is it within the Zoom platform or outside of Zoom. And this is where we want to give you the choice, right, on how you want to take your data and use it, whether it's within your own preferred applications or to actually couple that within the Zoom platform. And what we aim at the end of the day is really on how do we equip you with the different tools and solution for success, right? We want to be able to add value into what you have invested on Zoom and provide you with much more value for you to continue and grow your business. And lastly, it's not just only about that. We are also looking at how do we extend and sustain growth, not just in regards in terms of our solution, but moving forward, what will be the future look like with investment in innovation, and how do we actually provide different avenues for you to be able to discover more, and not just at the same time, if you at the end of the day do have various channels that you're looking to be able to monetize your solution that you created via Zoom, we also look at how do we actually amplify that through the use of the Zoom app marketplace. And lastly, together with Candice and myself, we really want to thank you for the time, and hopefully you do get valuable insights based on today's sharing, whether it's on AI services all the way to real-time media stream, or if there's any other topics that you'll be interested in beyond what we shared on these two topics today and what you've seen earlier, please feel free to reach out to Candice. We'll be happy to be able to share more with you. Candice, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Jensis. Jensis, we have one of the last Q&A just came in. So the question is, I noticed that you have the capability to transcribe and analyze video or pictures sent across by customers via channel such as WhatsApp. Can you show more or on these capabilities, or you can share more?
Yeah, so I believe when we talk about channels over here, maybe let me just break it out into two parts. So I believe, Karen, you might be looking at the omni-channel aspect where someone is actually connecting with agent or having a chat capabilities through a channel like WhatsApp, right? And perhaps someone's actually sending video or pictures. So this is where we also look at how do we actually connect those omni-channels to be able to use those data that is actually sent through those channels and slice it into real-time media stream. But if not, sometimes it's more about how do we actually take this content that is being shared through this omni-channel approach and find the best ways to be able to analyze this, right? So it can either be a real-time conversation that transits from a channel to voice to video, or let's say you want to be able to use AI services to do a one-time of real-time transcribing, translation, or even to analyze images or to look at the context of things as well. So there can be multiple ways on how you can actually look at different solutions that we have to enrich that workflow. So at the end of the day, it's not about the solution, but what we are interested in together with Candice and myself is how do we first establish a workflow and we identify the right solution to be able to fulfill or to materialize that workflow that you have.
Yeah, so in the last slide itself, Jensis did show my email address there. You can always reach back to us, right? And we can always arrange a session to understand a little bit more about, what you're looking at. So we can actually suggest, what kind of technologies fits you.
Got it. So I think there's also another question over the chat is that what if the meeting session or voice interaction is using multi-language? Let's say they're using Manglish, what is the outcome? So I think today, just to be able to share with you in regards to that, we do understand, especially in the nuances in ASEAN, and especially in Singapore, right? We have our unique way of conversation, especially we know for us, majority we use English. So sometimes English is a mix of nuances between English to Mandarin to Cantonese, or even, for example, in Malay as well, right? And likewise for in Malaysia, it can be Malay first with a mix of English or other nuances. So I would say that at times, we are also looking at supporting multi-language support, especially when we do understand that sometimes in a meeting or in conversation, people tend to have a context switch of language, right? Based on their comfort level. So this can be tackled in a few ways. One is either there is a high chance that the conversation is always majority in a single language. Secondly, we do have certain language pair to be able to handle multi-linguistic conversation. So that it's not always a one-way saying that this conversation will always be in English And when someone starts speaking in Mandarin, the entire transcription output kind of goes south, right? Alternatively, this is where we also work with vendors that has certain capabilities, especially handling like in your sense is the Manglish, right? We do have vendors has the capability to handle Manglish or like Singlish. For example, I recently worked with one of the government agencies here that provide what we call the Singa Lion model, right? So, Mara Lion model. So, Mara Lion model is very interestingly, it can actually detect and understand Singlish, not just in terms of two language, but in four languages with some of the dialects that would be supported as part of the day-to-day language we speak here in Singapore. So perhaps for Manglish, there might be a provider in Malaysia that has this capability to be able to transpose and analyze audio files in the Manglish aspect. So this is where it also fits perfectly in line with real-time media stream is that we here at Zoom provides you with the ability to consume the audio stream that's generated through conversation, whether it's a meeting or in the contact center, working with someone that specializes in Manglish to provide you with the desired output that you need for you to capture those valuable conversations in the most unique way ever that you can have within Malaysia. So hopefully that answers that question.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We are on time. We have 1 more minute. If let's say you do have any other questions.
Candice, I do see one here in the chat group. Do you have the link to the website? As in which part of the website? Can we get that over?
You mean our AI? Sorry, I am looking.
It's in the chat. It's not in the Q&A though.
Okay. Tan, right? So, okay, let me just take one step back. Are you looking for the CCM website or our Zoom AI services or RTMS website? Because relating back to his previous question, the recordings website.
The recordings. Okay. All right.
Yep. So I'm very sure the CCM team will be able to provide you with the link. Yep. All right.
Yeah, it's there from Azra. It will be posted there, Shijen.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yeah, Vic has left earlier. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. It is absolutely interesting to see how Zoom has evolved in the past 15 years. Trust you have benefited from the discussion earlier. And you also, if at all you have missed the email address or whatsoever with Zoom, please do not hesitate to drop any queries over to our CCM Secretariat, and we'll be more than happy to bridge you guys. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Thank you, Candice. Thank you, Jensis.
Yeah. Sorry, do we still have 1 more minute for one last question? Yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, so I think this is what I think most probably I heard what I mentioned. We have a federated approach across different models, right? So for example, we do have our own Zoom model that we have internally. We do also work with other frontier models, whether is it with OpenAI, whether it's with Claude, or whether with like for example like Google Gemini. And this is where, based on the different capabilities, whether is it in terms of summary, whether is it in terms of content generation, we do have a federated model where we look at what's best specifically on the workload, and also looking at the various model in terms of what they do best at the same time to kind of also build that workflow to generate the optimal output that you need. So it's not going to use a singular model to generate for certain capabilities, but we have that. So I can't share with you the secret sauce of how that's done from a federated approach, but we work across various models and we continue to look at what's best within the market, whether it's for work on image, for content, etc., and all. And we continue to improve that what we call Zoom AI to our customers in terms of our platform and features and also AI services at the same time. So hopefully that answers that.
Thank you. So do reach back to us if, let's say, you have any other questions. Yeah, over back to you, the CCAM team.
I'm all good. Thank you, everyone. Yep. So please, there's another query from Vignesh though. How do we govern the AI answers? Interesting. Over to you, Jensen or Candice.
Yeah, so maybe for that, would you be able to expand on what kind of AI answers that you're looking at? Is it based on the output that is being generated through the Zoom AI features, for example? So what kind of governance would you be looking at? Whether is it in terms of the generated content, whether is it safe for work, or whether is it for certain aspect that you do not want certain people to have certain capabilities to be able to access those features? Got it. So I think with regards to Arlo, the AI output is entirely yours. That's what we do here in Zoom for real-time media, and especially for Arlo. Arlo provides you just the framework on how to firstly assess the media stream coming from real-time media stream. Secondly, what is not really expanded in the short demo, because short video recorded demos that I can't go all, right? Arlo provides you with framework on giving you the flexibility to choose what model you would want to use based on the conversation or based on the features that you have seen in Arlo. So for example, I think what's not shown in Arlo, what Arlo does is that Arlo actually looks at the use of open router APIs. So if you're familiar with open routers provide you with access to whether it's an open source model or proprietary models in the use or through the use of open routers API to access those models, right? So in likewise, real-time media stream provides you with the pipe. What you take from the pipe and what you pass it to you is the flexibility that you would have. So we are not going to say that you can only use model A, B, C, but you have the flexibility and it's 100% on you for you to create your own workflow or to be able to pass the media stream to the most optimal model that you think that will fit according to your use case and scenario. So for that, in terms of governance, we don't govern that. So that goes back to you as the app provider or the app developer to kind of govern what you would use certain models to generate insights and output, right? So I think that goes back to the respective frontier models or the LLM providers based on, their T-Senses or their benchmark, etc. and all. No, all is good. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So feel free to drop any queries post via email, yeah? Bye.
Thank you.